Good morning, world.
Good morning.
Hey, Cedric. We get to open up our society.
Can you feel a brand new day? As if we didn't see this coming back, 8 months ago when we first talked about it, but we'll talk about that later on. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. This is Cedric and Brian. Let's take a look back. Remember this video that we did?
Liberties and freedoms and things like that being taken away from us, and we're standing by too quietly and letting things being dictated to us instead of thinking for ourselves.
So this was our first video. We were non-political at that time. And this one, we lost a viewer over this, and it wasn't even political. All we did is we were just talking about that we wanted to open California up. That's when Governor Newsom first decided to close us down. And go take a look at that. I'm going to put a little flag up here, wherever it goes. I can't remember if it's above me or Cedric. Go take a look at that and then come back. And we are willing to admit where we're wrong.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about the YouTube videos. Like, people can point and say, "Nope, you guys did say this. Look," and we have no problem with that. We were off a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we could make up excuses and find formulas like the state of California is doing for reopening, which we'll go over in a minute. But I, at the time, honestly, and I was looking, Cedric, remember, I was looking at the numbers worldwide and at the U.S. I honestly didn't think that it was going to be as bad as it ended up being. I mean, obviously, we have over 400,000 deaths. Again, we don't know how many of those were true COVID deaths.
Yeah, but I think the big question people are asking right now is, why at this exact moment, why are we opening now? Especially here in California. We're going to speak to that a little bit because Brian and I are residents of California, even though this is a worldwide and countrywide pandemic. But I have some reasons why I think it's opening now. I mean, I think January 20th had a lot to do with it.
And it's not just California, and we know our viewership is not just in California, not just in the United States, but please look at this with an open mind. After the election, after the certification, Cuomo from New York, Lightfoot, it's Lightfoot, right?
Yes, Chicago.
In Chicago, they all decided, hey, this is costing way too much in economics for our state, in the psychological toll, which we have been talking about, that, hey, we're going to open up. Surprise, surprise. These are Democratic leaders of those states or cities that all of a sudden want to open up. And now Governor Newsom, who is also in fear of a recall because he's got over 1 million signatures now on a recall Newsom.
I was one of them.
Yeah, so he, is it just because he's going along with the other Democrats and saying, hey, we got what we wanted? And Cedric pointed this out too. Go to CNN. There's no more ticker for COVID deaths unless they put it back up because of the backlash they got. Right. Is Newsom going along because he's just that Democrat got what he wanted, or is he worried about the recall, or a little bit of both?
For those of you who are parents out there, this is the weird analogy. Like when you have young kids and you tell them the same thing over and over and over and over again, and they ignore it, and all of a sudden another adult says the exact same thing, and they're like, "Oh, okay, now I'll do it." It's like I've been telling you this for months, for years, and now because someone else said it, or situations change, now you're going to follow through and do it.
Well, we were like the parent is like the Trump of that situation. So if Trump said it, I don't believe that. But if, then your teacher says it, then I believe it.
So now I'll do it. Yeah. It's like...
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to admit, I kind of started this. I'll admit when I was wrong. I thought that we would stick around maybe 600 to 800 deaths per million, because that's what it looked like in Italy and some of these countries that were hit hard. Well, obviously... This second wave has been bigger than the first wave. They kind of predicted that. That's what happened in the Spanish flu back in the early 1900s. It makes sense because we started this pandemic at the end of winter. Right. We started it basically going into spring when flu season goes down. Now, coronavirus is a cold virus, so colds and flus happen in the winter. It's not surprising, and if you look at the ebbs and flows of countries in the southern hemisphere, you'll see kind of the same pattern. So it's not surprising that we never really experienced it during winter, that this winter would be worse, because that's when colds and flus are worse.
Right.
So it's not surprising. What is surprising is that during in California, we're spiking. So if you look at this headline on Bloomberg, and I've seen this on, CNN, I saw it on ABC, everything. So this headline says, California lifts stay-at-home orders as worst of virus eases. Okay, so this is a headline I've been seeing over and over again. Yet, take a look at this, and I'll put this up on the board here. If you look at here, here's actually from the California website for tracking COVID-19 in California. And this is as of, what date did I say it was? So this is as of January 26th. So is that the day we're filming?
Day of filming today.
So that's today we're filming. This isn't going to come out until we've released our stuff on tomorrow. So you can see the cases are actually still increasing. 0.5% increase today. Deaths, 1.1% increase. So I don't know the disconnect between the headline of all these articles and the actual numbers. So again, it's cover. You're going to read the headline. You're not going to go any further. It's like, oh, we're opening up because we're getting better. The cases are going down. They're not going down. Right. But they realize that the lockdown orders, the closing of restaurants, especially outside, all these things didn't make a difference, right?
Well, you and I both know, especially living here in Southern California, that when we first shut down back in March of 2020, a lot of small businesses where they were scared and they were running scared. But I think a lot of them just kind of, they said, we're going to open up anyway. This is our livelihood. Mm-hmm. So I think and especially during the second lockdowns, and you and I personally know some small business owners, we're not going to say their names out loud, who said, we're not shutting down. For those, and I think a lot of people said it well, like, we understand the pandemic, we understand COVID, and we take it seriously. So for those of you who don't want to come out, don't come out. Exactly. But for those of you who do want to come, we'll practice safety, wear a mask if you want to, but come on out. And we'll live with the consequences. We're all adults. Give us the information that we need, and let us make our own decision.
And if you look at that video that we did back in May, Cedric made that point then. Case in point. So look at these numbers right here, and this is from the Worldometer site that you can look at the numbers for every country, every state in the United States. If you look at California and Idaho, they have about the same deaths per million. My friend's son has been coaching in Idaho, so he could work, coaching the football team there because Idaho has been open for school. All their sports are open. They didn't close down like California. In fact, most of our friends, their kids that play soccer and softball, they've been going to Arizona, Idaho, Utah, wherever they could so that they continue living a normal life. Right. Well, Idaho has about the exact same deaths per million as California. They've been open, we've been closed. You can look down the list. Look at Texas and Florida. They're also similar to other states that have been completely locked down. In fact, the two worst states for deaths per million still, to this day, is still New Jersey first, New York second. All right, we know they completely locked down. I had friends that could not work in New Jersey. He does the same thing I do for a living. He had to close his doors. He don't make a living, and those $600 checks aren't going to make up, especially as a professional where we spent $100,000 to go to school. Right. He's got to feed his family. They've got New Jersey has the highest deaths per million, completely closed down. California is kind of in the middle, completely closed down. Idaho's actually, I think, a little better, not closed down. Texas and Florida may be a little bit worse than California, but much better than the other states. It doesn't seem to make a difference. So why did we close down and ruin the economy? And that's worldwide.
Well, it all goes back to what I was saying before. This is political. It was political, and January 20th changed everything. Mm-hmm. Things started to open up. We all wanted to, like you saw our last video, it was time to unify and be united under their terms. I was telling Brian this last week, those of you who don't know, I'm a public address announcer for a college basketball team. I do that in my spare time. And they had their first game last week or 2 weeks ago. First game they've had in 10 months because of the lockdowns. Yeah. And no fans are allowed, so no students are allowed, no fans are allowed. The only people who are allowed are coaches, officials, and players, and the four people at the scores table, me being the PA announcer. I had to wear a mask while I was doing the PA for the game, which is weird. And so you have all these people
and
wearing
he's far
masks.
Away from everybody.
I'm far away.
Look at this picture. And that's Cedric there on the far left side.
But it's weird because all these people have masks, and then all of a sudden you get these 10 healthy athletes who start bumping and sweating and running around to each other.
Spitting on each other
in the sweat, and it's no big deal. This is nothing more than, it's political.
Follow the science, man. Follow the science.
There's no science to follow.
It's like, you know, and if any of you are watching the NFL, you watch, they're sitting there jumping on each other, tackling each other without masks, and their face masks, most of them don't have shields. So it's not like that's going to be a magic thing. Yet they go to the sideline and they got to put a mask on. So they've been hugging each other, tackling each other, spitting on each other, especially linemen, basically.
Yeah.
And yet you go to the sideline because it's a statement. It's a political statement. There's no science to it.
No.
And, you know, so, I want to bring this up. I don't know if you've seen this. Now they're talking about, we could save more lives if we double masked.
Why not triple?
Yeah, but just put a whole suit on.
When they start charging us 10 cents per grocery bag, I say put on the double mask and put the grocery bag over your head.
Yeah.
And tie a knot around that also.
So the mask stops you from spitting already, because that's basically the science says the reason you wear a mask is to protect other people, right? Unless you're wearing an N95. So what is 2 masks going to do other than suffocate you? And if you're going to get it, it's going to get in those cracks anyway. I mean, I have a beard, so it's going to get in. They're microscopic viruses. They're not something that you can keep out by sealing it around your face. So what is 2 masks going to do, really? It's so, right. Again, it's just putting out a message for no scientific reason. And then I saw another article said if everybody wore an N95, then that would completely eliminate or, take it down 99%. I wonder if it's the maker of 3M
that's great marketing. Great marketing
just,
tool right there.
It's just so... it's tiresome.
And if you feel that wearing a mask helps you, don't get me and Brian wrong.
Oh, wear a mask.
Wear the mask.
In fact, what I do for a living, for more than one reason, I kind of like the masks because, and I don't know if I told Cedric this once, before COVID, I was treating a patient, and it's happened more than once, and when I adjust somebody, they breathe out really hard, and I looked down at my sleeve, and there's a big green loogie right there. I'm like, it was disgusting. It was disgusting. And then, I mean, a lot of people have bad breath, probably myself included. Every once in a while, you come back after having coffee or your lunch. So I don't mind the mask. Right. Now I don't smell. I don't get snot on me.
Right.
It wasn't all bad wearing the mask. Did I think most of it was due to COVID? No, I just kind of like the not being spit on thing. Yeah. But again, when it comes to masks, if you go to a place, and this is for the people on the right, this is the people that drove me crazy. Mm. If you go into a store and that store requires you to wear a mask, don't be that person.
Don't be stubborn.
It's their business. The same reason why they say no. If you have to wear shoes and a shirt, wear the damn mask. It's their business. I don't care what Newsom says. If you go back and people say, you can come in my store, but you have to wear a mask, and you're saying, it's not mandatory anymore. Well, guess what? It's mandatory at that business.
Right.
They can do what they want. As a physician or a doctor, I can tell people, I still want you to wear masks.
Right.
Okay? Otherwise, I'm not going to treat you. I don't care what the government says. Again, this has nothing to do with government. I don't think the government should have told us what to do. They can make recommendations, and then as private citizens, as Cedric said, if you feel comfortable wearing a mask, wear a mask. Mm. You want to be that dumbass in a car all by yourself wearing a mask?
Some of our subscribers may be that person.
I'm sorry. Why are you in your... I saw a couple in a car and they both had masks on. It's like, are you wearing masks in your bed together? I mean...
We can have intercourse, but don't kiss. We might breathe on each other.
I think that was a mandate for a while out of England or something. For the sex workers, it's like, no, you have to wear masks, but you can have sex. Anyway, so...
We digress.
So go back and watch. It's funny if you go back and watch that video in May too, because my beard was very long back then.
What was I doing?
And Cedric had the tiny little goatee. Yes. I mean, we were both much less weight back then, because that was in summer. We were getting ready. We were getting we were out by the pool a lot. In fact, we filmed that outdoors. I was in a tank top, and I put on about 13 pounds over the winter again.
I know for me, the Just for Men was strong back then.
Oh, and that was the episode we actually promoted Just for Men. That's right.
It was strong back then.
Yeah, he had a very dark goatee.
Like took a Sharpie and just colored it in.
But how do you guys feel? Do you feel that this that there was science behind this whole mandate to stay at home and kill our economy? Was there science behind it, or was it all political? If you don't think it was political, how come we're still going up in California, yet after the election now, all of a sudden we can open up and make the economy great again?
Right. Right. Yeah. So let us know in the comments what you guys think, and should we do a comment?
Yeah, and then we're going to do a comment now. We want to make sure we're both in our 50s, so sometimes we forget things. So you guys need to remind us if we don't do a comment.
Right.
Cedric just found a new one. It's kind of, are you going to do that new one?
Yeah.
It's kind of a compliment. We'll
today.
take compliments because we trust us. We take a lot of not so complimentary.
And I was telling Brian this yesterday. I forget the young gentleman's name. I'm trying to respond to something he said about
Nicholas or something.
Yeah, Nick. If you're listening, I've responded twice, and for some reason, my response keeps being taken off. I know it's political. We're talking about the difference between blacks and whites and why blacks are mistreated by the police and things like that. And every time I responded, it vanished.
Yeah, and there was a whole MLK thing. He was like not promoting MLK because MLK was shot or something.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a response to our highest grossing video so far, entitled "What Are White People Superior At?" If you haven't seen that video, go back and check it out. But comes from oh good Lord, I'm gonna take a gamble. It comes from a woman named Princess. It could be a guy, I don't know. I'm gonna go on the limb and say it's from a woman named Princess, and she says, "This is such a chill and fun video on a topic that I thought would have made me feel negative and have negative emotions. Thanks, guys. Y'all just got a new subscriber." Princess, thank you very much. And that's I don't think me and Brian really deviated from our initial, the way we want to do this video. Just two regular guys talking about stuff in a very chilled, relaxed format. And so we thank you for that. We appreciate that. We don't want to get anybody upset or anything like that. We just want to talk about things from our perspective. And like Brian said earlier, when we're wrong, we'll be the first one to admit it.
Yeah, and we like to point out, for me, I like to point out the hypocrisy, whatever side. If the right has hypocrisy, I want to point that out too. And if you see it, send us a comment. But that's basically where I come from, because the media is so hypocritical. And we've shown that through the riots that were in Seattle, all that stuff. Which brings me to the topic we did today. I looked at Oregon and Washington. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, with all those people out in the streets, rioting, protesting, even if they're just protesting, you've seen a lot of it going on over the summer. Their numbers are pretty low for deaths per million. Mm-hmm. They've been outdoors doing their thing. Even though the state was supposed to be locked down, you saw thousands of people out there. So again, the science isn't there. The hypocrisy of media. Go just Google reopening California, or I think I Googled reopen California again or something like that. You're going to see all the headlines and then look at the actual numbers. The headlines don't fit the numbers. They're opening up not because the numbers are going down, because they're absolutely not. They've just come up with their own calculation and did it. So I just want to end with that after our comment. And please leave us comments. And then another thing we like is tell us what you want us to film, because some people do that and I like that.
Yeah. Make sure you make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring that bell, and share this video with everyone you know, which we know a lot of you are doing. But until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. See you later.